to the garden. Today I'm going to be harvesting a whole bunch of jalapenos. As we head into autumn, it's getting a lot cooler, and these peppers really like the heat. So this batch of fruit might be the last. Most of the fruit are still green, but we do have a couple red ones. This one here on the left is just starting to turn red, so it's kind of a greenish brown. So I might leave a few of these on the plant to ripen up, but I'm going to harvest most of these peppers today. You might be wondering, where the heck are the leaves on this plant? Something came by, probably a deer or a turkey, and just ate pretty much most of the leaves on most of my jalapenos. Even these ones in the tomato cage. The only one they didn't get is surrounded with chicken wire, so that kept it safe. Jalapenos have a lot of moisture, kind of like a bell pepper. So if you are going to dry them, you want to slice them up into rings first. Today we're going to do a small batch of dried jalapenos, but most of them I'm just going to dice and then freeze. And we can use a lot of these fresh to make a hot sauce, or we just slice these up nice and thin and avoid the seeds. They're going to be really mild and sweet, and we can use them just like bell peppers. Let's see how many we can get off of just this one plant. That's 23 jalapenos from just one plant. Can't even hold them all. That's awesome. So I've got about a dozen plants in the garden, and this was the most productive. So we're not going to get this many per plant, but that's a pretty dang decent harvest. These peppers are a little bit smaller, but they'll be perfect in our hot sauce. A plant that's been eaten back like this can usually bounce back earlier in the season, but we're so close to autumn now that there's really not enough time for it to recuperate. So I'm just going to harvest the fruit that we have. It might even try to produce new flowers, but we're going to get our first frost really soon. That's a whole lot of jalapenos. That might even be more than we got last year. I just keep finding more and more peppers. I got about another 2 dozen, and this plant is still producing flowers. This is actually the one with that square jalapeno. Oh, that is so cool. It is so square. Gosh, that's weird. You expect that from bell peppers sometimes, but not jalapenos. But that's not all, we've got more. This is that same plant. Look, we got another one here, another one there, another one there. A couple more flowers. The jalapenos are just so productive. I really love growing these. And the flowers are actually quite beautiful. They're white with blue pollen. This is actually starting to get heavy. And it's overflowing with jalapenos. I've even got a couple more yet to harvest. Well, here's another plant I forgot. Look at all of these fruit. That is a lot of jalapenos. I'm kind of curious if we have 100 or not. How many do you think? Make a guess and then I'll count them up and we'll see just how many we have. Final count is 147 jalapenos. That's a pretty impressive little harvest. I've only got about 6 really nice red jalapenos, think this is the best looking one of the bunch, although this one's pretty nice too. But they all look delicious, even the little tiny ones. I still like those. The younger jalapenos are usually pretty round. These are great for cutting into rings. This one's actually starting to get a little bit of a triangular shape, and that's really common with these jalapenos. You can see it on the more mature jalapeno here. You end up with a really triangular pepper. This one is that square one. It's so weird. Look at how square that is. But we can use this kind of triangular shape to make 3 really easy slices. We'll just stand the pepper up on its tip like that. We'll get a nice firm grip, and we'll cut in right at the edge of this cap. Right about here. Slicing all the way down the fruit. And if we've done it properly, we'll avoid all of the seeds, and we'll have a really nice slice of thick jalapeno. Those seeds are really spicy. And I like a little bit milder hot sauce. Look at that, not a single seed on there. That's perfect. Our last cut's a little tricky because we can't really stand it up very well. We'll just make a nice gentle cut, and then sometimes you can just strip away the seeds. So we got 1 seed. That's not bad, but really easy to discard that. And this you can actually let sit out to dry. You want to be careful handling these because they are very hot. They can even burn your fingertips, especially with hotter peppers. So you really have to be careful what you touch, and you probably want to wash your hands immediately after touching any seeds. That'll just help you soothe any burning. Now we can try our boxy pepper. So instead of 3 slices, we'll just do 4. Cutting in right at the base of that green cap. The seeds are all right underneath that. So we're slicing to avoid the seeds. I kind of went at a weird angle there, so we got a few seeds, but we can easily tap those out. Here's a nice little cross section. So you can see right where we want the knife, in between the pepper wall and those seeds. So if we slice just in that perfect spot, we won't break any of the pepper, so it'll stay nice and crisp and juicy, and we won't get any of the spicy seeds. I nailed it. Look at that, not a single seed on there. Then our last cut is usually just a little slice here at the top, and that's enough to separate it. It is attached. There you can see it separating from that pithy part in the middle. So you can actually dry these on the stem like this, or you can brush them off and they'll dry even quicker. But apparently these are ready to plant right away while they're still fresh like this. I actually like to save seeds from a nice red one. This is going to have more mature seeds, so they're more likely to sprout really healthy plants next year. Now from here, these whole chunks could just get thrown into a blender to make our hot sauce. I'm just going to cover them with vinegar and then blend them until they're really basically liquefied. If we just slice them into long strips, you get really beautiful julienne matchstick types. Then if we bundle all those up and slice down again, we can get little cubes. You can do this with several peppers at once, and it goes really, really quickly. I like to freeze these in fairly large pieces. So I'm gonna make some pretty wide cuts like this, down into fairly decent sized chunks. And that's great for chilies and stews, basically anything you need it for. So I think that's what I'm gonna go for. So a whole jalapeno breaks down pretty small once it's all diced up. These will lose that really nice, crisp, fresh texture when you freeze them, but the flavor preserves surprisingly well. Now when they're dried, I'm guessing they're gonna lose a lot of their flavor, and we're just gonna basically use them as paprika. You could even powder them down once they're dry. So I'm gonna save the red ones for seeds, slice down maybe the little green ones to dry. We'll do a nice big batch of our green Tabasco-like hot sauce, and then the rest I'm gonna dice into really large chunks and freeze. So I hope you give this a go in your garden. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.